Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is Monday night. It is 8 p.m. It is the first live lounge of 2026. And you know it's special when not only myself, Phil Bars, and Dan Simpson is here, we are joined by the Housewives Special, Mr. Jonathan Eaton.
Good evening. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Well done for all your work at the World Championships. I must say that I was sunning myself in Florida for the majority of it. It feels like it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon to me. So that's why I'm here. So
it's a hard life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hard life, but someone's got to do it, mate. Someone's got to do it.
How are we all, though, gents? Did we all have a wonderful Christmas and New Year?
It's a blur. Yeah, I mean, very good. Today is like my back to earth with a bump because today is like back to work today. So I was like fully functioning adult this morning, which I haven't had to be. Like for the last few weeks, I've been able to just sort of play around in the house with the kids and watch darts and talk about darts. And we've done lots of fallouts and there's been lots of wine consumed on the Fallout Valley. Life's been pretty fun. And then all of a sudden today, I had to be a grown-up again. I had to get up and parent my children and do a job. But, you know, other than that, it's like all is well. Busy old time to be a darts fan as well, isn't it?
Really is. Is there anything to talk about?
Is there some stuff that's happened recently?
To phrase Cody Rhodes, just to use the phrase Cody Rhodes would use. So, what do you want to talk about? And a lot.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for their massive support over the World Championships, from the OD team to all of you guys who got involved, our new followers, new subscribers, no matter what platform you've joined us on, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Thank you so, so much. And the chat room is rammed already. New members, Jamie and Jonathan, welcome along. And then, obviously, we've got Dell is in, Malachi is in, Dixie says, Happy New Year, all missed this. We are back with a bang.
What I've found, mate, during these recent Fallout shows, and a lot of these guys from the Fallout are in the chat room tonight, that it's becoming a big task in and of itself just to acknowledge everybody at the minute. When we start getting to prediction time, it's like it's a real challenge to work your way through. It's good though. We want everyone getting involved.
We know this.
Dave from the team is in. Dixie, how we doing? Kieran, Sarah is in. Mark, how we doing, buddy? Warren is in. Kay, how do? Gordon, Bradders is in. Shelty, I'll tell you what, it is rammed, all boxed up. Warren, Andy is in. Dave, Rob, how we doing, my friend? I'll tell you what, sorry if I've missed you. James, Daniel, Hazard is in, Robson is in. I tell you what, it is absolutely bloody rammed. Right. Are we going to try and do this in some logical, chronological order, or are we just going to go balls deep and get on with it?
I always rely on you for the plan, to be honest.
I think let's be honest.
You come without a plan, we're bollocks.
We've done. If you haven't watched the Fallout Bars, and by the way, I recommend that you should do after every session of every major event with Dan Simpson, Cam McFarlane, and the rest of the team on Online Darts YouTube channel. But if you haven't watched the rest of it, then go back and watch it, because we are not going through every single fucking game of this tournament. There was too many.
No, we're not. We're going to do our World Championship highlights and stuff. Right, let's go. Let's do it. Balls deep. The Premier League picks are out.
God, we're starting there.
Straight in there.
We ain't fucking around. We're going for.
Well then,
you said do it, so we're going head on. Right. First of all, for those that have been living under a rock, these are the 8 that have been picked for this year's PDC Premier League of Darts. We have the defending champion and world number 2, Luke Humphreys. The world number 1 and back-to-back world champion, Luke Littler. Gian van Veen, the European champion and world finalist, current world number 3. Mighty Michael van Gerwen, the world number 4. They are your automatic picks. This is where it gets jazzy. The 4 wildcard picks are as follows. The Ferret, Johnny Clayton, returns, as does his World Cup winning teammate, Credit Price. Stephen Bunting retains his place, and we have another debutant in Josh Rock. So 2 debutants, 1 returning, 3 changes from last year. That is the class of 2026 kicking off in Newcastle. Right, gents, where do we start? First of all, the top 4 pick themselves. We know what that is, what that criteria is. And Jan van Veen, there was talk about him. The world's, he's young, he's box office, he's won a title, but he's gone. You've got to pick me. Get to the world final and get yourselves in the top 4 in the world. Thank you very much. Have another bourbon.
Yep. Fine. Easy. Job done.
He was a shoo-in beforehand. Let's be honest about it, because you are not going to be the only winner of a major title this season not called Luke and not deserve a call up in a Premier League.
Well. Time out. I'm going to stop you there. There was another. There was another one called Michael that won a premium televised title.
We're not going down that road tonight, Mark. We ain't got time. We have not got time.
Also, we very swiftly got 2 against 1 really quickly, and it could look like we were ganging up on you when it's just the 2. It could look quite cruel.
I've gone within 10 minutes. No, look, in terms of a ranking event, there's nobody else that's won one apart from Luke and Luke. So therefore, he was an automatic pick regardless. But what he has done is he's proved that he is one of the best players in the world. We've said it for a while, ever since that first World Youth Championship, never mind the second and the third that he's reached on the bounce. You know, when he played Lou Litter in that World Youth final in 23, that was one of the best games of darts I think I've ever seen in my life. It was littered with quality. And yes, it was only 10 legs, but it should have been way more. I could have watched them play best to 100. It was that good. So to have him in the Premier League is great. He deserves all the plaudits. And the fact that he's now Dutch number 1 as well, the first time since 2013 that Michael van Gerwen is not Dutch number 1, pick him. He had to be in. Simple as.
Warren, I will star that, and we'll come on to that when we're talking about players that aren't in. Now, Johnny Clayton, I think that was pretty self-explanatory. The world number 5, he's got to a TV final this year and been not spectacular, but solid enough that they couldn't really leave him out, could they?
They can.
I mean, they could have done, and I think depending on who doesn't end up, in and around the top 4, then perhaps. But I think being in spot number 5, he's had a very, very strong year. He also does carry with him a great deal. Granted, he wasn't in there last year, but he does carry a lot of Premier League pedigree. Like, he has been a consistently high performer in that environment, and I think he's a very, very low risk pick. And when you've got 2 or 3 debutants and you've got people who haven't done it before, it can be quite comfortable having somebody like a Johnny Clayton that over that short format in those environments you can rely on to at least be competitive.
Yeah,
don't disagree.
I'd go with that.
I do think this though, right? Just quickly on Clayton. Had he not got to world number 4 and it only lasted 24 hours, had he not got ahead of Stephen Bunting, do they pick him? Because you look at his CV, as you say, reached a World Masters final, but then obviously semi-final of the UK Open, semi-final of the Match Play, semi-final of the Grand Prix. That, and then, yes, he's tailed off towards the back end of the year, but to then go on and reach a quarter-final of the Worlds, it would have been wrong if he wasn't there.
Yeah, especially if you look at, and we'll come to it, you look at the year that some of the other picks have had and how it measures up. I think it's already a tough conversation to point at some not included and do the comparison. That would be a very difficult comparison. If you were to lay the last 18 months side by side, it's a tough one, that.
Yeah, the stuff about players that aren't in, the Gary stuff, I've starred them. We will come back to that once we've done the thing. We'll talk about the players that aren't in, because social media is also quite busy tonight, as we've seen. And we'll go Wales to Wales. But look, if you don't pick Johnny Clayton, is it then almost impossible to pick Gerwin Price?
No.
Nope.
As in, you shouldn't have been picked anyway. Not for me this year. He's done nothing.
No,
like
I agree.
He's made a couple of semi-finals, fair enough, towards the back end of the year, and I think that probably did help him. Reaching the semi-final, the Slam and the Players, and that did help him. And he made a couple of quarter-finals. Yeah, great and all that, but I'm sorry, there are two other players in there that have had better seasons than you that should have gone in. And Gerwin Price is one of them. Now, is he box office? Yes. Does he tick the boxes? Yes. Is he what the PDC want to market? Yes, he is. But for me, this year, he could have done with a year off. And yes, he may have reached a semi-final last year, may have reached finals night. But I think that in order for him to make sure he doesn't slip further down the top 16, because there's a chance that he does. I know he's not defending much this year, but there's a chance of it. And I think that to help him achieve that, 16 or 17 weeks in a travelling circus would not be beneficial for him. But again, as I've always said, there's only one person I know that would look at a Premier League money, especially now that it's got up to £80,000 just for finishing bottom, just for turning up for 16 weeks, and say no. And that's someone that a lot of people probably suggest they should have been in.
I think he's a very, very lucky boy. I think he actually has had a far better 2025 than his 2024. The reason his ranking is so bad is that his 2024 was absolute bobbins. He went the entire year without making a quarterfinal or a semi-final of anything. Now, that means one of two things. First of all, it means he is going to go up the rankings this year, because he will make a quarterfinal this year. He will of something, or a semi-final here and there. So he's going to move up the rankings. I think he's a lucky boy in another way, because the other thing that they point at outside of his ranking is they'll say, well, he had a really good year in the Premier League 2025. What he did, if we're really honest, was he finished fourth only just when three, arguably four players of the 8 played absolute shite for 16 weeks.
But genuinely, mate, when has that ever been an impact with somebody who hasn't won it? You look at Joe Cullen, he was a dart away.
Mr. Dart, didn't he?
Missed double 16. He's never been in the Premier League since. You look at Jose de Sousa. Again, I'm not trying to compare what Jose de Sousa is now, but you look at that. He hit the most 180s of any campaign in history. Did he get a look in the 2022 Premier League? Did he, bollocks? So that should not be. If we're going off that should not be a criteria to say, yes, Gerwin Price deserves to be back in the Premier League in 2026. Because for my money, he shouldn't be.
I think he's a lucky boy. I think I had him. If I was picking on my own, I think if I was picking 10, he'd have been in. I think 8. I think he might have been in and out over the course of the debate. I think I might have had him in and then thought a bit different. That he's another one, I'm afraid, who has suffered from a crap World Championships, because there is some recency bias, and there is some, all of a sudden there are players that have come booling through and into the periphery vision of the casual darts fan. And I'm still not convinced that the casual darts fan really is invested in players like Gerwin Price. I think what he did came a little bit before a lot of the newer fans got on board. And then since then, they haven't seen what we know. They haven't seen him entertain in the way that we have. We've been around for a little while. I think he's lucky. I think he's got very lucky, and he is gonna have to do things this year because everyone else is moving forward at a much quicker rate than he is at the minute.
Well, again, people just going back to it. Joel's saying Cullen was lucky to be selected and then lucky to make the playoffs. Well, he might not. He might have been lucky, but he was still a dart away from winning the bloody thing. And at the time, he won the Masters, which was the 10th spot because they did it with Johnny Clayton and Mervyn King the year prior, so they had to do it again. So that's that. And also, as well, there was someone saying there. Oh God, I just saw a comment which said. Sorry, Phil. I know we've got lots to cram into tonight.
Right, I'm going to drop some bits in here in a minute. Don't worry.
But Price says Price up there within the top 8 for standard, top 3 or 4 for ceiling, and the top 8 for entertainment. It was never in doubt. Says Nine Dark Davis 180. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, he ticks a lot of boxes. But if you're going purely off ranking results and what he's done on television this year,
I don't
and again,
2021, he was very entertaining. It was a really entertaining year.
I still think he's entertaining now. I still think he's box office. And
what do you find entertaining?
It's an interesting thing that people, like you said, the casual has passed him by. I don't think they have. And I think there was a turning point at Ali Pali this year. And I actually think it's done him a disservice because in that game where he lost, he was interacting with the crowd. The crowd was singing Gerwin Price songs and almost like he's gone soft. Where when it was him against the world, right? And by the way, I'm not saying everyone deserves to be booed and given shit, but when it was that siege mentality of him against the world, he had that fire. Where now he was the darling of our, even in defeat, I've never seen a crowd sing his name so much. And
but that's where the entertainment was, wasn't it? That was what was entertaining. That was the boxer. That was him against the crowd. It was that not just the sort of roaring for himself to G himself up, but that back and forth with the crowd and when you take that away, you're left with a decent, he's better than decent, but
he's a former world champion, like, put some respect on the name.
Yeah, but I think that some of that high class entertainment that we got, like 2021 into 2022, it's not there at the minute. I don't think it's as entertaining and as watchable. And he did that. Recency bias will always be a difficult thing to overcome.
Oh yeah, I agree, but I think Gerwin Price was an easy pick for me. I was worried after the early exit, but I 100% get the Gerwin Price pick.
I get it, but I don't agree with it. But again, when North Korea don't care about that, do they? Let's be honest.
Josh Rock. Again, I like this pick because the Premier League needed freshening. It needed some debuts. We've got two debutants, which I'm happy with. And look, granted, the back end of the year may not have gone the way he wanted, but he is box office, is the thing. With the match against Littler at the match play, winning the World Cup, the boy has got it, and I'm pleased that he's in.
All I'll say on it is this: if winning a World Cup is big enough for Josh Rock, a certain Dutchman, to get into the Premier League year after year, why isn't Daryl Gurney getting picked?
Because he doesn't tick the other boxes.
But do you get my point, though? Mate?
I get it, but in terms of winning something ticks that box, but Daryl Gurney doesn't tick the other boxes. Josh Rock wins something and ticks the other ones.
He did most of his best work towards the start of the year, the UK Open semi-final, and of course that ridiculous game with Littler at the match play semi-final. And to be fair, from there I've said that he should be in the Premier League, and he did make the quarterfinals at the Grand Slam Players, and he got turned over by Justin Hood in one of the best doubling performances you will ever see. Sometimes a bloke can't miss, and that's what happened. But all I'm saying is that, again, he would have been my 8th pick. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be in, but there are 2 other players ahead of him that I would have had in my any day of the week. We'll come on to that in a second.
Yeah, 100%. Dan, do you like the Rock pick or not?
Yeah, I do like it because I think it does actually freshen it up and offer something different and new. And I also think I think sometimes we forget, and it's easy for us to do so because of the amount of darts that A, we consume, and B, we've seen in the flesh. That, for a lot of people, the Premier League is their annual opportunity to see darts live in the flesh. Now, sometimes we sort of say, people aren't there for the darts, they're there for the piss up. But, to lots of people, this is your, when the PDC comes to your town almost, or the nearest city to you. And I have absolutely no problem with. In fact, I like the idea of it being freshened up. I think the idea of watching the same 8 players every year is incredibly boring. And I think if you're going to hook someone in as a debutant, what you want is somebody capable of producing unbelievably high level. And what we know is Josh Rock's ceiling is very, very, very high. And therefore, your potential for over the course of 16 weeks, that he can find that even just a handful of times, then you've got a real opportunity. Second of all, he's he's an international player. He's not another Englishman among, the majority in the Premier League. So it varies it up a little bit as well. And I don't think he's the sort of player, and we don't know, I don't think he's the sort of player that would let it get on top of him and would find himself, shoulders slumped after 3-4 weeks of getting pezzled by the big boys. I think he's got a good team around him. I think he's pretty well looked after. We know quite well some of the guys that he's stablemates with, and I think he's a low risk pick. I don't think he'll disappoint, and his ceiling's very, very high if he can find it.
Right, the pick that seems to have got social media most up in arms is the Stephen Bunting pick. Now, I didn't think it would. I don't get me wrong, I thought people would go, I'm not sure, but I wasn't expecting this to be the biggest reaction to getting picked, because let's be fair, social media has blown up since 3:45.
Yep. And it wasn't what I expected. I wasn't expecting. I didn't think he should be in there. He wasn't in my 8. Hasn't been all along. I don't think the pick is justified. But I genuinely thought that me saying that, even on this show tonight, would be. I thought I might as well just go and sat outside and have a conversation with the tree. I thought it would just be me just shouting out to the. I'm going to go and shout at passing traffic, like nobody cares. And I genuinely thought it would be me against the world, with everyone going, "No, he's the people's champion, he's Bunting." And I just thought, I was really surprised this afternoon, because everywhere I looked, no matter how far I scrolled, I just kept finding more and more and more people. And if I'm really honest, this isn't. And I think you have to be careful, because some of it is quite bad. This wasn't like trolling, and this wasn't offensive. These were people who were just making observations that don't think that's a sensible pick. Don't think that's a good pick. Wasn't what I wanted. Wasn't what I thought. Isn't what I think is equitable, deserved, fair. There's all those words, like the narrative that I'm seeing. I agree with it.
I'll just say this, right? First of all, I don't agree with people trolling his son. I think that's absolutely despicable on the basis of his dad being picked. And whoever is, you are an absolute see you next Tuesday and don't deserve to be in society. You're an absolute stain on society, and grow up. That's the first thing. Secondly, you look at his year. And what was really funny was that he came out and said that he won 6 tournaments. You won 2 non-ranking tournaments in the world. Yeah, I'm just saying, he won 2 Euro Tours, he won a couple of Pro Tours, and he won 2 World Series events. That has never been a criteria to get into the Premier League, my guy. Just don't even bother with it. You look at the rest of his TV tournaments, semi-finals of the Worlds in 2025, that doesn't count, because obviously that goes towards your Premier League pick for the following year. Quarter-final of the World Masters, quarter-final of the World Match Play. That's it. That's the only time he's made quarterfinals this year on TV. And last year, people can say he ran into into people who were railroading him in the Premier League, but he still lost. He still took L's, and lots of them. Yes, he won a nightly event, and fair play to him, but he's took a lot of L's at the same time. It's not good to watch him in the Premier League next year. And this is what I found really interesting. Sky, I don't remember a time where a person from Sky has ever called out one of the picks, especially when they used to have 2 picks themselves. But when you have the best analyst in the game in the shape of Wayne Marble coming out on Sky, your host broadcaster for most of your events, and saying that Stephen Bunting is lucky and that Danny Noppert should have got in ahead of him, that screams to me that people are going, that would not have happened. And I'm not too sure what happened with the PDC there and why they picked Stephen Bunting over Danny Noppert, because Noppert made 5 TV semi-finals. He's a consistent player and has been excellent throughout the season. But to have that happen live on air on your host broadcaster is telling me that Sky do not agree with that pick, my man. And as Stan says, Bunting is a lucky, lucky boy. Very lucky.
It's a combination of things as well, isn't it? Because he hasn't had, when we say he hasn't had a good year, he hasn't really, if we're honest, had a good 3 or 4 years. He's won one TV televised title in that time, in those 4 years. And then if you look through, he's had, the semi-final to the Worlds last year. That is arguably his biggest achievement outside that Masters win. There's very, very little there. And then I think he was a periphery pick for the Premier League. I think he got in the Premier League this year based on that World semi-final. Now, if we pick people for the Premier League based on World semi-finals, then we'd have had some interesting Premier Leagues over the years, wouldn't we? We don't pick people for the Premier League based on a World semi-final. Scotty Williams' signatures on that board behind there from a World semi-final.
I'd love to see Coach Shepherd in the Prem.
Didn't get in. And then not only that, and this is the thing for me, is that his performance at the Premier League this year was so underwhelming. The one night win that he had, he defeated Luke Humphries when Luke Humphries was averaging 87. That generally doesn't happen. Luke Humphries has somehow just, something's happened there, and he's gone, you can go through, it's okay, I'm going to average 87 now. Luke Humphries doesn't normally give you that, and that's the one night where he's managed to get some points on the board. I don't think it's earned. I don't think it's deserved. There's obviously some reason for it. There's obviously something that they say. Maybe it is just TikTok. And we all just have to accept that if you have lots of followers on TikTok, then you'll be given opportunities in life that people that don't have lots of followers on TikTok won't have. And maybe that's just the world we live in now.
Well, here's a big thing on this, right, with Bunting, is the fact that people were saying about why the outcry, not just the fact that he has performed badly on television, but I do think that there was some huge backlash to christening himself the People's Champion. Now, I'm not gonna go all in on that, because he said that the abuse was really bad, and I'm not gonna criticize him for that, because fair play, you've owned it. But that backlash, you don't christen yourself that. You are given that title. It's like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was called the People's Champion and Ricky Hatton was called the People's Champion by the people. You don't christen yourself that. And that is a massive mistake that he's made. And I don't think that but to be fair, the audiences in the arena might still enjoy a bit of Titanium. It's a cracking tune. I love it. But I'm not, with the best will in the world, I'm not going to be thrilled for 16 weeks to watch, because it's not going to be 70. Let's have that right. But yeah, it's not going to be 60. It's not going to be 17 weeks.
It's difficult. And I think because he has been subjected to such a lot of completely unwarranted and unfair trolling, criticism, over recent weeks, then it is difficult, I think, to give like a fair appraisal of it without sounding like you're joining that campaign. And I desperately, and I think that interview was an error. I think it was slightly misjudged, but I think that's all it is. I think it was slightly misjudged. I also think there's lots of timing involved. Like we've talked loads about dart players getting interviewed, and sometimes somebody sticks a mic in your face, and sometimes you think about something for 2 minutes, and sometimes you have like a conversation with someone before you have the mic in front of you that changes your viewpoint a bit. And I just don't think, if I'm honest, that he's among the 8 most deserving, best picks, best entertainment. I don't get it. I don't. Maybe it's because I'm not, I find a lot of the walk-ons a bit boring. I want them to be better. I want them to take things from other sports and entertainment categories, if you will, and do better with entrances. So I still look at even what people consider the best darts entrances and go,
Before we go on, Buzzy, two things just really quickly. One comment in there saying that I'm a Bunting hater. I'm not. I don't mind Bunting. I just don't think that there are. I just think there are people that deserve it more than he does this year. You might say he's won 4 titles, but Euro Tours and Pro Tours have never counted for the Premier League, and World Series have never counted for the Premier League. So don't throw that argument at me. And secondly, I find it really telling about something. Not only did Sky's lead pundit say that he was lucky to be in there, the chief executive of the PDC was not there to answer questions, which may tell me something about why wasn't he there? Why wasn't he there to defend the pick? That's all I'm going to say, because normally Matt is very gracious with his time, and appreciate it's been a busy news day on Sky Sports News, and in terms of, obviously with the 2 sackings in football, and they've dedicated a lot of coverage to that. But normally they'll make time for Matt Porter to talk about the picks. Not this time.
Do you think, though, that sometimes when you exist in an echo chamber and that you think that that's how, and do you think that maybe perhaps they didn't think the pick needed defending, and that everyone's now sat looking through X and going, fucking hell, we didn't see this coming?
Yeah, and also as well, Rob makes a really good point. When Target posted the fact that Stephen Bunting was Premier League, the comments were turned off on both Facebook and X and Instagram.
I saw them before they were turned off, and I can see why. Yep.
Again, I don't agree with them giving him shit for, especially personal abuse for that. No. But it isn't a good pick, and I think the shine will wear off pretty quickly, unless he goes on and wins 3, 4, 5, and he goes into the playoffs and he justifies the selection. I'll be more than happy to say I was wrong. Genuinely.
We've seen it happen, haven't we? We have seen it happen. We've seen people where we've sat here and went absolutely no right whatsoever to be there. Shouldn't be there. I can't, but he's a lucky boy. We see that every year, don't we? He's a lucky boy.
Look at Colin 3 years ago. Yeah, he won the Masters, but everyone was there going, I was going to get absolutely bashed up. Nearly won the bloody thing.
It's interesting. It really is. And look, time will tell. Come May, we will know either it was a great pick or it's done damage. Because, like I say, I'm worried that if he gets bashed up again week after week, because I still think that overridingly had an impact on his form at the back end of the season.
Well, there were 2 players. Yeah, well, there were 2 players that, for me, should have got in ahead of Price and Bunting. As I mentioned, Nathan Aspinall, excuse me. Okay, again, if Aspinall had been picked, I wouldn't have minded, because at least he made a TV final this year. I'm not saying that he probably deserved it over the year, but at least he's made a TV final. Danny Noppert, as I said, reached 4 major semi-finals on television, made also the World Cup semi-final, deserved to go in. And also as well, and I know he's not people's champion. He's certainly not the people's champion on this channel. But to reach the final of both the UK Open and then the second biggest major event of the season in the world match play and not be anywhere close to being picked, James Wade should have gone back into the Premier League 100%. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but for the year he's had, he deserved to be in it. Simple as that. And his tweet was, and his tweet and Facebook post was right. Absolutely right.
I said it before the World Championships. I've said it for months. James Wade should be in the Premier League.
Yep.
We'll come on to that in a second, but I agree with Rob here that winning something doesn't give anyone the divine right to be in the Premier League. I completely agree. De Decker, Ed House, Noppert, Gilding, Nicholson all won PDC majors and not got picked. So 100%.
Yep.
And I think that needs to be looked at. For me, I know the recency bias is always there, but like we've done, we've looked at the whole season. Who deserves it across a season? And there are, for me, more deserving people across the season.
Absolutely.
For me, Danny Noppert did enough to be picked. Is the thing. He's changed his on-stage demeanour, that he gives it some now. He fits the image that the PDC are trying to push to an absolute T. He looks smart. He's clean cut, young.
He's interviewed well as well. Like, you've had him in that room this year, Phil, loads of times. And we used, if you go back a few years, his English wasn't brilliant. He found it quite difficult to get his personality across. Like the interviews that we've had on this channel this year, like after this show, go and watch them on YouTube. Go onto our channel, search Danny Nopper and watch. I don't get it. I don't get it.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready when he won the UK Open.
No, I agree. He wasn't.
But he's become possibly the most consistent player in the world right now, bar the obvious caveat, which we will talk about, I'm sure, in depth in a bit. But like, he's become probably the second most consistent player in the world right now. Like, you will always know what you'll get from Danny Nopper, and normally you get some really solid performances, really good darts, averaging nearly a ton, 7 or 8 180s in a game, and you'll get big finishes. He deserved to be in. Simple as. And it's a really good point as well that someone else made in the chat about Wadey. No, it wasn't that one. It was Dan, actually. Dan Fraser says Wade was one of only 2 people to beat Littler in a TV ranking event this year. And he's not in. You want someone to challenge him? There's one player that could do it.
It's... And the other thing with Danny Nopper, we see how quickly form goes in darts. He might not have another year like he's had. That might be his one and only shot at it. That chance may never ever come again, and it's been passed by. So, right, let's talk about players that weren't in there. Right, first of all, let's do Warren, Bobby, and Adam. First of all, I think we all wanted one more year of Gary Anderson.
Retirement tour. Yeah.
We all wanted it, but it was never going to happen. But as world number 6, you would think he would still be in the mix. They'd ask the question, Gary, one more? You ask. Right, one in terms of his popularity, world semi-final, and he's bloody good. I reached out to his management today and asked, were you contacted to turn it down or say no to? And they were happy for me to say this, that no one contacted them about the possibility of Gary being in.
Fuck off.
Embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Like, how could, like, I get that Gary would probably say no, because one thing is about Gary Anderson is that he's a fantastic darts player, but he also sticks to his guns. Remember, he said for the best part of 8 years, he would never do the Euro Tour again. To stay in the top 4 for as long as he did without going to a single Euro Tour event proves to me that he's probably one of the greatest to ever pick up a dart. But come on, man. Give the people what they want. Give them the true people's champion here.
Do you think that it is just that he has been so vocal?
I think it is that.
Yeah, they think, well, are they thinking, look, we're having to have some really tough conversations with players that really want it? Because someone will have spoken, I expect, to Nathan Aspinall. I don't know if anyone's spoken to Danny Nopper or James Wade, probably not. But someone will have probably spoken to Nathan and said, not this year, but, you know, keep on doing this, doing that. Maybe they just don't want to humble themselves to, you know, if you're having to turn people down and have really tough conversations, do you really want to go begging and saying please?
Well, that's the thing is, like, at the moment, it exists that no one has ever turned the Premier League down.
Apart from Gary.
Well, he would have done, but that question was never asked. Look, would he? No. So, I agree with that. I think they've just listened to all the noise all the way through the World Championship and just gone, it doesn't matter. He ain't going to do it.
Do you know
I genuinely think that.
I would have loved to have seen him beat Gian in the semi-final. Not because I dislike Gian, far from it. But I would love to have seen him get into the top 4 and then told the PDC to Foxtrot Oscar. That would have been hilarious. Yes.
So that was direct from Gary's management. I clarified with them and asked were they happy for me to say that, and they were. So yes, they were not approached.
That is very, very interesting and a bit sad as well, isn't it? Like, it's a bit like... But then, yeah, I suppose... But I also think, well, if that's the case, if they do go, if they're 99% sure that he's going to say no, then if you go and ask and then you're told no, people like us find out, which we do, and then somebody among that 8 knows that they were actually the 9th pick, don't they?
Yeah,
like, someone in that 8, you by proxy tell somebody that they were actually pick number 9 and that they weren't coming, and they're now just there because someone else isn't. And when some of them will potentially get a hiding for 16 weeks anyway, you maybe don't want to keep, so I think I would be inclined to keep that as tight as possible and try and make sure that nobody ever felt that they were actually number 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. Right. James Wade is not a happy boy.
Nor should he be. He's got every right to be unhappy.
Absolutely.
He's been personally singled out.
I will read you the James Wade Twitter, Facebook post. Hard work pays off. ... Really ? Disappointed, but proud of the work I've put in this year, chasing 1 goal, getting back in the Premier League. Missing out hurts, but that's part of the journey. I trusted my performances in big moments, 2 major finals, 2 major quarterfinals. I'll keep backing that process. Back to work now. 2026. I'll be ready, James.
Bang on.
Yeah.
Bang on.
I also think that what he's written, I don't know if he's written it, I don't know if he's had some help, I don't know how many other people have cast their eyes on it before he's clicked post. I think it's perfectly rational, perfectly reasonable. It doesn't actually sound particularly bitter. It doesn't it doesn't sound bitter. It doesn't sound vindictive or spiteful. And I genuinely think in his position, I would probably feel I think it would be quite a tough one to take, because again, you do get to the point where you think, well, what is it then? What have I got to do? What have I got to, like, why is it? What is it about me? Why is it? And I do think it's, I wanted to see him in there. I've said it for months. I wanted to see him in there. After he went back-to-back ranking television titles last year, UK Open straight onto the match play. Like, yeah, get him in.
We know why. We know why. It's because his face doesn't fit. And this is my wider point on this. And like, we always love a good debate around a Premier League lineup because we have to sit and watch it. Well, we don't have to, but we choose to sit and watch it as darts fans for 16 to 17 weeks. But the moment you realise that it is a glorified expo and that really who plays in it doesn't matter, it makes things a hell of a lot easier to just sit back and enjoy it.
That is the key. And we do, like you said, we have all these conversations for ages. And the first time, every time we have the Fallout Bar, night 1 of the Premier League, every year, I remind everybody that if I was to go and book an exhibition at the Billingham Catholic Club, and I would invite the 8 professional players that I wanted to see play on my exhibition, or that I thought would sell the most tickets, or the most merchandise, or that people would wave the most flags for, or make whatever it was. And it's my exhibition, and I'm paying for it, and I'm selling the tickets. And if nobody comes, it's me that's taking the risk. So, I'll have who I want. And if I don't like that bloke because of whatever, because he called me names 10 years ago, then I'm not going to invite him to my exhibition. And once you get to that point, once you make your peace with the fact that what you're actually watching is quite a nice exhibition on telly that's well produced. It's the best produced exhibition in darts. But that's what it is. I'm afraid.
And the big thing is, that, and again, this is not me, well, it is kind of me having a pop at the broadcaster. Sky have built the Premier League up to this mythical status with this hashtag Triple Crown nonsense. Yeah, I know. Here he comes. I thought I might get the nibble here. I thought I was joining Gary and going fishing. Here we go. But you know what I mean, mate? Like, they built the Premier League up because they lost the UK Open. And you know that for a fact, my man. You know that for a fact. Because before they had the UK Open on Sky, they used to really hype the UK Open. Then when it went to ITV, they didn't. And the Premier League has become this mythical beast that it doesn't need to be because it's on television for a quarter of the year. So that's why Sky build it up so much, because it's such a massive programming block. And I get it. Like that's what they have to do. Like I get how the business works. But when people go so mental, I think more people actually care about who gets in the Premier League than actually watches the bloody thing.
100%. It's more debate.
From July, literally from the match play onwards, it's right. Who's in the Premier League next year?
And after week 6, everyone's fucking bored, aren't they?
Certainly for a TV watcher in this format, I get it in the venue because I've been in the venue and I do understand how it works and the fact that more people are sticking around. I get it from a business point of view. I'm not here to criticize formats yet, but if you are just tuning in on a Thursday night to watch some darts, like just do it. It don't matter because it's not going to affect anybody's ranking. You know, it's not. It's an exhibition title. It don't matter. It's as simple as. Fishy.
I'll have no slander of the Triple Crown on this show.
I thought you were going to say James Wade then.
I was about to go, wow, new year, new Barzy.
New year, new me.
But no.
We will have no slander of the Triple Crown on this show.
If the Triple Crown exists, it's the 3 events with the world title in them. It's the match play, it's the Grand Prix, and obviously the Worlds.
The Triple Crown will not exist until they go full mid-90s, next generation WWE, King of the Rings, where there are 3 elements to the prize. One is a hat, one is a scepter, and one is some sort of robe.
We know for a fact, because Barzy and I have spoken to people on this, we know for a fact they did actually want to do a snooker and get people who won the Triple Crown, get an actual crown on the shirt.
There was a couple of players that wanted the crown on the shirt.
But there was one particular manager that said no because one of their players hadn't achieved it. Well, I will not say that any further.
Again, you get your hat, your scepter, and your robe. There's your 3 elements. We stand you on the stage. You are crowned. You have to, and then you get at least one walk on, where you are carried on a litter, sat on one walk on, crown, full wig. So the first major event after you've won your Triple Crown, you are the Triple Crown champion.
When you win the World Championship, the World Match Play, and the World Premier League.
Are you going to add that in now? Are you going to suggest that to Mackie the next time you speak to him?
Hey, do you know what? We've had some funny conversations over there. But you know, imagine one day when we're sat here in a couple of years' time talking about the fact that they're now ranking the Premier League.
Right. So just out of interest,
I'm all happen as well.
I'm all for it. Rank everything. Rank everything. There's problem solved. Ranking, non-ranking, just rank fucking everything, and then no one can moan. Everything's ranked.
Oh, but still moan party. You know how this works. You know how this game works.
There's not enough ranking events. There is now because everything's ranked.
See, the thing that I enjoy about that, right, is that because everyone knows that how much I like to manifest complete chaos and stupidity sometimes. So the moment that you have to rank it, that means immediately you have to have 7 picks and a qualifier. And I just think, imagine just the one good day some idiot could have. And then you've then got 16 weeks of, and it could, let's be honest, it could be
Richard North.
Yes. Now that's a Premier League God worth watching.
There we go. It could be anyone.
So before we go, right, we can all do this. I want, what would your 4 picks be? Chat room as well. If you were selection panel, if you were head of the selection panel, what would your 4 picks have been?
Adam Gavlas, Mickey Mansell. No. I would have agreed with 2 of them, probably. I would have had Johnny in, 100%. Would have had Wade, would have had Noppert, probably would have still gone with Rock. Yeah. That's it. That's what I'd have done.
Dan?
I would have definitely had Wade in for Bunting. And then I would have, if the difficulty then is it's Noppert in for either Rock or Price. And with Johnny being in, I think you've got your Welshman. Don't be greedy. Therefore, Danny Noppert would come in for Gezi. So I would swap Bunting and Price for Wade and Noppert.
I would have gone Clayton, Rock, Noppert. I would have asked the question of Gary, even though we know what the answer is. I would have asked the question and hoped that we'd got him when he was in a good mood or been hit over the head with something hard. But failing that, I'd have gone. I'd have gone with Gezi. My only swap would have been Noppert for Bunting.
Evening, Murph. Well done on the coverage at TalkSport of the world, pal.
Yeah, well done, pal. Good to have you in. Murph's going Aspinall, Price, Rock, and Clayton. Easy.
Again,
I'd have had.
It's
I'd
50%.
have had Noppert personally.
But then again, I wouldn't have minded that.
No, I don't.
If Aspinall had been in, like I say, if Aspinall had been in, there would not have been a crusade against that. I would have gone.
No, I
at least he's made a team
really
final.
When you look at it, I think Aspinall's had a better year than Bunting.
But most people have had a better year than Bunting.
When you look at it, Aspinall had a better year than Bunting.
But he did have a better year, and you could also argue that he was far more deserved of the People's Champion title. I would suggest, if you were to go and do a survey around the fans' village. But
what about Searle? Someone says he didn't do enough. He had a great run.
Fabulous run to the semi-final at the Worlds, and not just that, not just the darts, the amount of awareness he's raised for
100%
the eye condition. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. That obviously him and his children have, raising awareness and funding for that has been incredible, maybe even life-changing, because the amount of money that has now been raised from this started from Viaplay, which Iron did something amazing, and then it come out. Then Paddy Power have got involved, and they've raised so much money. So, if anything, that is the most defining thing Ryan Searle has done at the World Championships, is the money and awareness raised because of that.
Just going back to that pick, though, if Ryan Searle should be in the Premier League for one good run in the semi-final, are we then saying that Gabe Clement should have been it 3 years ago for making the semi-final of the Worlds? Absolutely not. No one said that we should have put it in. So, not taking away anything that Ryan's achieved at this weekend. But this week, I should say, in these 3 weeks. However, he's not ready. Simple as.
Right. That wraps up the Premier League.
Dobie slubbed. Chris.
Well, he was, wasn't he? Along with Ryan Joyce. Along with Ryan Joyce and Callan Ridge and arguably Adam Hunt as well. Like,
who are they going to wave the flags for now, man?
There's the four, isn't it?
Oh, where are the flags? There's no waving flags.
Where the flags going to be, man?
I have volunteered to go and have a quick
chuck on the stage.
A quick chuck in advance. Yeah, me and Big Dan Byrne, we can have a quick 9. Me and Dan Byrne will play. We'll play a quick 301 before everyone comes out.
Jesus Christ, Sky would go on at 9 o'clock if that was the case, pal.
I was going to say I have to start early for me to play 301. Come in the afternoon.
I tell you what. Before we go, I don't dislike this. This is up your street. This is manifesting chaos.
Oh, night one. Yes. Night one is a playoff for 2 spots or something like that.
Yes.
Like, you get your 4, you get your top 4, you get your 2 picks that are going in. There's your 2 PDC picks, your wild cards, and then you've got 8 names playing for 2 spots. Yeah, that is a brilliant that should be because then what you could do, arguably, depending on venue dates and booking, you could book somewhere pretty cool for that opening night. It doesn't have to be arena because you maybe haven't got the names to sell out, but you could have that as night 1. That'd be brilliant.
Night 1 at the Royal Albert Hall. Money in the bank style.
No, boys, you're missing the best venue in the world. Let's get some sheep shearing in February. Westport, Exeter. Come on now.
Let's not.
Yes.
I'd rather go to the Indigo O2.
It's cold enough when we get there a little bit later in the year. I don't want to be there this year. February.
We're not going this year, man. It's wrong.
We're not going this year. Well, like you say, we're not going this year. We're only not going this year because anyone's yet to give us any tickets. If anyone,
No, because West Point doesn't exist, does it? It's not on the,
it's
it's not on the
not
list anymore.
shit, yeah, we're
It's
not.
been binned,
It's not just
canned.
us, is it? The whole world's not going.
It's
Wrong.
been canned.
Wrong. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best venue. It is. It just is. I know you don't like it because of the media facilities, Barzin. I get that, but in terms of an atmosphere, you don't get better than the West Point.
Oh, we've had some
We've sum it all up as well. I've got to go to Cardiff, which is 2.5 hours away from Minehead, because all you fuckers are going to Minehead. So there's no one else to spend.
we do have a Welsh correspondent on staff.
Yeah,
we do actually a Welsh speaking. We have a Welsh speaking Welsh correspondent on the team. We need that's the night where you need to make sure we're pumping multilingual content.
Join us in the Thursday Curry Club, mate.
Yeah, but the problem is that we're relying on one person winning because it's only Johnny that can speak bloody Welsh. And
he's going to, Phil will be jealous as well because he knows exactly which curry house we're going to be in Minehead because it's particularly good.
Right, let's go to Alexandra Palace. For the first time in 10 years, we have a back-to-back world champion. Congratulations to Luke. An incredible achievement. Only the fourth player to defend the PDC World Championship. I know a lot of people were getting upset on social media.
Eric.
Eric defended it. Martin Dunham. Yeah, no, we're talking about the PDC World Championship here. Only 4 people have ever defended it, which is an incredible achievement. And I'm being honest, he cantered to it as well. It was like he was having a trot round Newbury.
I tried to tell you this. I tried to tell you this a month ago. I tried to tell you this when we were in Ilkeston. No one gets close to the boy. He's the best player to ever pick up a dart. There, I've said it. Call me out, champion.
Oh, we're dropping bombs. We've not quite passed the watershed yet.
I don't care. He's the best player to ever pick up a dart. He's the greatest talent there's ever been. And he will win whatever he wants. The Luke Littler, every tournament he enters is the Luke Littler Invitational. He wins what he wants. 127 players were trying to stop him and they couldn't. He's that good. He's dropped 4 sets. He dropped 2 of them in one game. Do I need to say any more?
It is difficult, isn't it?
Here he is.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, this is my magic. Oh, hey!
That little boy you've got is some talent, laddo.
He's got 2 trophies in there and
a Chinese.
And there'll be 16 more coming his way by the time he's 35.
It was one of the most inevitable things I've ever seen in darts. And I think I remember, and I'm quite pleased he's in the chat room because I ended up stood outside of the venue with his missus when Luke was 5-0 down, as he had a habit of going through the match play. And when he kept going 5-0 down in the match play, it didn't feel inevitable. The match play didn't feel inevitable. And then he had that match with Josh Rock, and you kept thinking, he could do this. From every single time he got on the stage, even when I was watching other matches, and you go and you watch somebody else poster, and we did see, we saw massive performances from other people. We saw, the 108 from Van Veen against Suter, and the 105 from Gary against Connor Scott. And you think, everyone's doing it. It just looked like he was not only at a canter, but he always looked like there was a bit more. And the only thing that stopped, I genuinely think the only thing that stopped the performance from being better was that he didn't get pushed hard enough. And that if somebody had come at him, if Gian had come at him a bit harder in that final, Luke would have just gone with him and we would have seen a bit more, but he just pissed it, didn't he?
Well, the big thing is that you look at that first set, Littler missed 3 set darts, maybe more. I think it might have been 5 actually, before to win the first set, and Kian took it out. And then Kian romps into a 2-0 lead in the second set, and then he misses a set dart. Now, again, I'm not saying that had he gone 2-0 down, that it would have been a railroad and Kian would have won comfortably. But to have broken the throw and I go 2-0 up in a final, that's a different story in comparison to 1-1. And then I think from that moment, I said it in the chat, didn't I? I said that Heian will win the first set, Littler will go and railroad him for 5 sets, and then Heian wins 7-3. I was being generous, clearly. It was 7-1 at the end. But towards the back end of that game, he was bloody unplayable. Like, he was averaging 100, what was it? I think the tournament average at the end was about 104?
103, 104, something like that.
Yeah.
There or thereabouts.
There's nobody that comes close to this boy. There just isn't. And unfortunately, people will. This is why I get so frustrated with particularly British sports fans. We don't like success in this country. We like underdogs. And when someone wins something, we then go and try and crucify them. You look at Emma Raducanu with the road that she had to win Wimbledon. And now to win the US Open, and every single tournament now she's being criticised for everything that she does. Littler 2 years ago was the darling of sport. Never mind darts, he was a darling of sport, and now people are booing him in the Palace. Like, I get that people want an underdog to win. I understand that, but my point is this: generational talents come around once in a generation. That is literally the definition. And what I always say about him, there are times where you just have to sit back and admire greatness. We had it with Bristow, we had it with Taylor. We had it for a while with Michael Van Gogh, and now we have it with this boy. Just enjoy watching him play darts, because when he's in full flow, there isn't much better sights on the planet. And the fact is as well, he's 18. Do we think he's reached his peak?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. If he stays hungry, and this is his biggest thing, and again, I'm not trying to criticise him at all, but if he stays hungry, I genuinely believe he will beat Taylor's record. I think he could win the next 5 on the bounce. I don't think there's anybody he's coming close to him. Like, he won 5 TV titles before we even got to Alexandra Palace this year. He ticked off most of the boxes. There's only the Wenmar World Masters and the European Championship left to win for him. And he's 18. There are 2 seasons on tour.
Andy, we'll come on to that in a second. I'll tell you one bit that I liked, and it reminded me of Gary. And this is a compliment, by the way. When he lost that first set, he was annoyed. There was a little bit of spite, the facial expressions. I'm not sure if he's going to get a DRA fine, because I think there might have been an F-bomb as he was walking off. I'm not sure if it was or not.
The DRA, the tournament. Bloody hell, the next 5 Christmas parties are coming.
I'm sure there was a fucking hell type thing. And he came back with that spite, with that desire, like Gary does. When we see Gary chuntering to himself, he comes back and plays like a man possessed. Littler does the same. And I like that. For the first time, it's almost as if he let the shackles off. Now, look, we've known Luke for a long time, and he has this wicked personality. Once you get to know him, he has this really wicked sense of humour, personality. But I feel maybe since winning the world title, he's kept the shackles on a little bit, where we haven't seen that emotion on stage so much. Where this tournament, we got it. We got celebrations. We got spite. We got a heel turn, which I loved.
Yep.
And this is all makes up Luke. He wasn't being a robot. He wasn't trying to keep it in. He was being himself, which I can fully get behind.
Well, we criticise sports players.
I liked it.
I was just going to say, we criticise sports players. We criticise sports players in media when they are robots and they just say, we're taking it one game at a time. The next game's the most important game, etc., etc. And then he goes and says that, and everyone's going, "What a prick!"
But this is the problem, isn't it? Because and it's so frustrating. We've talked about it loads. Is that you get people who are programmed, and let's be honest, right? We spent the first 45 minutes of this show talking about people who should be in the Premier League and shouldn't be in the Premier League. And let's be honest, half of it, when we think, let's try and be kind to Danny Noppert. It's because people don't think he's exciting enough. People think Danny Noppert, boring, like. But then the moment somebody comes out and does something that's interesting, has a bit of banter, and this is the problem as well, because people are so fucking desperate to get somebody to click something and to click on their stupid little knobby article that they've written for their shitty red top wanky newspaper. Not in particular, but you know what I'm talking about. Let's write these most fucking stupid headlines so that someone will click it. Whereas in reality, what you've done is taken something often that's either some quite nice jovial banter or something said with a bit of whimsy, something with a bit of personality and a bit of character to it. And you've stripped it down, took all the nuance away, written it in black and white, stuck it in your shitty paper and gone, oh, look what he said, in the hope that people click it. And I just think that pisses me off. Because it's like you can't have your cake and eat it. You either want people to be interesting and exciting and show a bit of personality, but then don't drag them through the mud every time they do. Otherwise, people will just tell you, fuck off and won't speak to you.
Well, here's one. Did you see that article that Sport Bible did? And I will call them out on it because they are wankers, right? Did you see what Sport Bible did? And they said, Luke Littler will not be in this tournament even if he wins the World Championship. And it's about the fucking Dev Tour. Of course he's not.
Yeah, that was as clickbaity as Luke Littler loses half winnings. Right, newsflash: UK citizen pays tax. Like how fucking brilliant!
Luke Littler loses to a Polish bus driver.
Yeah,
it does. Wait, I get the game's the game. I get it, but it's just ridiculous. But you know, and like my problem is that like again. People have this tendency to try and pick holes in people because there's jealousy there. There is, and I'm guilty of it with people sometimes as well in other sports. But when you just have to sit back, just admire greatness, and we are watching greatness, it's as well. Yeah, them walking out, the dozen was walking out on Sky was walking out the Sky team. Give me a break, honestly. Yeah, it's just marvelous. I mean, look, Kian had an unbelievable tournament. You know, he put Luke Humphries to the sword in terms of winning the pressure cooker moments. He did what Mike the Dicker did in the World Grand Prix final a couple of years back. He won the big moments and he won those deciding legs. And then, I mean, I'm sure we'll go on to get into the tournament and all that, but that semi-final with Gary Anderson for me is exactly how darts should be played. It was just an astonishing game of darts. But unfortunately, Luke Littler is head and shoulders. There are levels to this game, Brev. And Luke Littler is on a that shirt that Roman Reigns used to wear, on a different level. # needle mover. We acknowledge our tribal chief.
When you said just on needle mover, interestingly, have you seen have we seen yet any of the viewing figures? Either at home or internationally. I know there was a massive increase especially in Germany, like sort of year on year. But I didn't know if anyone had seen anything yet.
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen anything released yet.
Someone saying Kian robbed us of an all-timer final. No, he didn't. He averaged 102. It wasn't like he was averaging 85. He played well. He's on like I say, he's on a different level. £2.7 million in prize money. We acknowledge our tribal chief.
Just think as well. He's the width of a wire away from being a 3-time world champion. If the double two goes, he's a 3-time world champion.
It's not even that. You remember, obviously, he was looking for the single 18 to leave tops in that final, and it clipped the first dart, didn't it? Because it hit the treble 18. He then clipped the second treble 18. You know, instead of going for the singles to lead tops, which is his favourite double, he then hits the treble 18 to lead double 2, and he had to pause and stop. And it's very similar, as we mentioned at the time, to when Van Gogh missed double 16. That's the dart he always says he wish he changes, because at 5-2 against Philip Douglas, there we go. But as I say, he's done something that only Taylor, I think, has ever done. And that is certainly when it was at the Tavern. Taylor reached 100% of the finals played at the Tavern. Luke Littler has reached 100% of the finals played at Alexandra Palace that he's been involved in. And obviously now next year, we go into a bigger hall.
He's also got a 95% win rate on that stage. Every time he plays a match, he wins 95% of his matches on the Alexandra Palace stage.
Isn't it something stupid that like over 20 legs in a game, he's like something like 21-1. The only one is being the World Championship final of 2024. I mean, like I said, the scary thing is that he's probably not even reached his peak yet. We could be seeing this domination. I know people say it's short-sighted to say this, it's short-sighted to say that. I am one of the very few people that say give people time. We don't hype people up. We don't do this because we can tear them all down. Not this kid.
I think the biggest risk to his peak is whether or not we actually get to see it, because of the amount of things that are going to distract him from just being a dart player, because he's going to be a celebrity and he's going to be a very successful person, and he's going to be able to invest money in things. He's going to be able to do all sorts of very, very interesting things with his life. He lived, a dream life. And he's right. And his old fella is exactly right, because I think the biggest risk to us actually, whether or not this guy actually gives us what he could, whether we see his potential, is if he would get on the practice board for a few hours each day.
Can you imagine if he did? He just hit a 9 every bloody game.
Yeah, if he that my biggest worry is that with an already let's say underwhelming practice schedule, that with the amount of distractions that will inevitably come into his life because of the success and celebrity and everything else. That is the risk, that we don't ever perhaps maybe see how good he could be.
Do you know what?
Which is
this is the thing again. Final word on this. In the I don't like doing comparisons very often, but it is right to compare Philip Douglas and Luke in this sense. Philip Douglas is still, by far, people still call the GOAT. As I've just said, I don't believe in that anymore. But the thing is that Philip Douglas was the machine that he was because he was a practicer. He was taught by Eric, and Eric made him into a winner. Luke doesn't need that, and that's why I say he's the greatest talent that the darts world has ever seen. Because, like Anthony says in the chat room, he's practicing hard, and he's still pissing world championships, dropping only 4 sets in a 128 player field. 7 games you've got to win now. Philip was beaten most of the time. Most of his runs, he was beating jobbers mostly, all the way up to the semis and a final. No disrespect, but. And I know he's in a different era with the trebles and the doubles are smaller and all the rest of it, but he was beating jobbers. Luke's not playing jobbers. People can play darts now. There's a lot of good talent in this sport.
A lot of depth, isn't there? A lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than ever.
Yep.
You can see somebody from out, ranked somewhere between 16 and 32, and they'll go and win a major title, and they'll beat 2 or 3 of the big players on the way, averaging 103, 104. The talent is that big or that deep.
And also, George, listen, Taylor did not beat Prime MVG in a world final. 2013 was not Prime MVG. That was 3 months after he just won the World Grand Prix. Prime MVG is 2016 when he completed darts. Let's set that right.
Between 2016 and the end of 2017, that was Prime
Michael. Rob Cross stopped Prime MVG, not Taylor.
Other part of the world that we talk about. We were denied the dream final by a moment of brilliance from Van Veen, but I wasn't sure, and I was still not buying into Gary being back. But oh my word, he made performances look routine. Like 105 was like shelling peas. Like everyone talks about this young man sport, which I agree, it is. Right? However, Gary rewrites the rule book at 55 years old, rocks up and looks $1 million.
That game with Jermaine Wattamina as well. One of the best round 3 games I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That game with him. Yeah. And, Wattamina only averaged 95, but really pushing Gander all the way. And the debut of Mardell. Here, fishy, fishy. It was great. I don't care. I liked it. So, again, this is the thing about Gary, is the fact that why we still think that there's something there. 55 years of age and still making the top 4 of a World Darts Championship, beating Michael Van Gerwen on the way, beating, a good player in Justin Hood with the way that he played, and only losing out to Hian because Hian won the big moments. Like that 5th set of that semi-final was some of the best darts I've ever seen. 10 fish, 11 fish, Hian breaking. Unbelievable.
But it was just his attitude through the whole thing where there was not a single fuck given. He could care less. It was like, if I win, I carry on. If I lose, Rachel drives home with the kids.
I'm going on the lakes.
It was very, very watchable because he didn't get a particularly kind draw all the way. The opening game against Adam Hunt was a very watchable game. As much as I think Gary got his back up a little bit in it, but that was on a knife edge, but it was highly watchable. The 105.5 average against Connor Scutt was Connor Scutt played superb, and again he's just a victim of bumping into Gary playing his very best. Then followed by the Watamina game, then Michael Van Gogh. That is a horrible route. That's an awful route to go Scutt, Watamina, MVG compared to what some of the others had to pick their way through. It's awful, but he just battered his way through, didn't he? Like kicking doors down.
Yeah, it was sensational.
But Jamie, Gian didn't do nothing. He did do something in the final. He's averaged 102. It's not like he bombed out with an average.
He's just lost to a brilliant performance.
Sorry. His final average was 99.94. Sorry, rubbish. Great point.
100%. One other bits I'm going to pick. We'll come back. We're still on the worlds here, but one bit. Last year we paid a massive tribute to Mark Webster, the way he stepped up in the absence of Wayne for obvious reasons. I thought Webby again went to another level. I'll tell you who else I thought did an incredible job, and it was anchoring the afternoons. I thought Glenn Durrant came into his own as that afternoon anchor, where they've never really had it before, because we all know Wayne, Webby, and Part and so on, Dan Dawson are the stars of the evening show. I thought the way Duzza anchored that afternoon slot was a massive plus for him, the show, and just the continuity, because Anna bounced off him. Laura felt more comfortable around him. I thought the way he anchored it was brilliant.
Yeah, top draw. Really, really good. I think he's continuing to get better across all sort of elements of what he does. Obviously, the commentary is very good, and we get a particular insight. We get a very interesting insight with Glenn, and I think it's quite honest. We get a decent amount of personality from him. In that is, I don't think it's a show. I think it's his personality. I think he's pretty open and sort of presents himself. But they're not just on the comms as well. I just think, I think some of the stuff that we saw just straight to camera, with a microphone in hand on the walk on, it's a really good insight. I think he did a cracking job all the way through.
Totally agree.
100%. I thought, I'd say, in terms of Webby stepped up to replace Wayne last year, and I thought Buzzer has stepped up massively and did an incredible job. Right, I want your moment of the tournament. Chat room as well. One moment that stands out for you.
Before I do that, just two highlights as well, to say a massive thank you for your service to the legend that is Mr. John McDonald. It's time to meet retirement. No, joking. He's an absolute hero. He always has been. He's been an absolutely brilliant member of the press room as well. And also as well to the fabulous George Noble, one of the best 180 calls you'll ever hear. Very rarely got anything wrong, and still was on the top of his game when he went out. So thank you very, very much for your service.
When he went out.
Sport. Yeah, absolutely. Best moment of the tournament? Pretty easy. David Benaya beating Mike the Dicker. Not because I've got anything against Mike, but just that reaction. The fact that the president of Kenya was tweeting about it after the game. And the reaction of the crowd. And yeah, the crowd got involved, and Mike had a bit of a right to have a bit of a moan at the crowd. I thought the crowd were pretty okay most of the way this year. But 100%, David Benaya's win. Because what that does for the sport in Africa as well, they got someone that they can go, that could be me one day winning on that spectrum. And we all know that Uncle Barry wants to spread the gospel of darts. You aren't going to get a better chance to do that when you're not winning, you're winning something on the Ali Palace stage.
The Commonwealth.
Absolutely. David Benaya's victory was unbelievable. And also as well, got to be the Ali Pali Wasp. star of the show.
More airtime than some of the players.
If we didn't have Q School today, because I will say, Phil, you've done an incredible job in throughout this, whilst you've been working like in the venue every day. When we have asked you for like clips and do this for the Fallout bar and make me a little predictions jingle and do this, so with the production is going through the roof. But we should have, if it wasn't Q School today, we could have maybe got a little bit of a sort of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, couldn't we? We could have done, because I think there's a few. I think it's difficult to the 147 to seal the title. Like, that is a moment. That's a clip, in it. Like, whether it's the moment of the tournament, I don't think so, but it's pretty cool. I think, just to be different, because I've got to vary it up a little bit. So, first of all, there's two Japanese walk-ons that deserve at least an honourable mention, because they were fucking honourable, right? So a couple of those Japanese walk-ons, absolutely superb. But I've got to say, two of them belong to probably Justin Hood. 11 for 11 was quite something to behold, quite something to watch, and it felt quite special. But I don't know, I think the whole Cinderella story of that defeat to Danny Noppert, I thought was massive. The Justin Hood fairy tale is a huge.
You're already saying that. You're already saying that because you want to go to his takeaway and get a free meal. That's all. I
would happily pay for my meal. What I do want to do is
the rich stay rich, mate.
Is film an episode of the Live Lounge Live in his Chinese take. That's what I want. I want us to be doing this show in a Chinese restaurant. I want us to be doing this with duck pancakes everywhere.
Also, as well, Paul Lim deserves a shout out as well. The reaction from the Ali Pali crowd when he won.
Nitin Kumar as well, winning the game. Yeah. Do you know what? There was a lot. There genuinely was a lot of very, very nice. If you are a darts fan, whether you are a purist, whether you're a casual fan, whether you're here for the walk-ons, whether you're here for the piss-up, there was a lot of moments, I think, across that tournament. There was a bit of something for everyone. There was the Paul Lim victory. There was, we saw huge things from international visit. I think and our friends, I don't know if they're in the chat room, but they often are from over the pond. The North Americans underwhelmed. That was a bit of a negative, because I really expected big things from a few of them, and we really saw that the balance as to where I thought we were going to get big runs and big performances from outside of the traditional geography. I thought it was going to be North America, and it wasn't.
So here's a question. There's Dave. As a wider point, what do we think of the extension to 128? Because I think there are good points and I think there are bad points. The bad point is that the final games of particular of round one, we saw how much the crowd were not into it. There was a lot of empty seats post 10 o'clock, and some of those last matches were a struggle.
I agree. I think there's a cure to that. You start an hour earlier.
Agreed.
You start at 7. I think 6. So you start at 6 instead of 7. I think that cures that issue. So instead of going on at the last game, going on at 10:30, 11:15, you're going on at 9:30, 10:15.
I'm not. That isn't a dig at the players at all as well. Because if you've ever been to Ali Pali, it's an absolute dick to get away from, especially if you're trying to get to Wood Green Tube Station as well. It's a pain in the fucking arse.
Yeah, I think you could. Or there's a valid case to start earlier.
Yeah,
get on with it. Less shite in between, like that. Like, get on with it. Keep playing darts. That's what we're all here to see.
I think that's modern broadcasting, though, isn't it? And not just darts. You look at production on other sports. It happens on all of them. What's that?
Same with boxing, though, isn't it?
Boxing, you look at football now.
I know, but
if it goes into Monday Night Football and so on, and
but there's a difference there, because Monday Night Football is the preeminent. Look, anyone can take the piss out of Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville's analysis, but it is still the preeminent show on Sky. Like, let's not take the piss.
But even in American sport, the stuff you get.
Oh, don't.
But that's what I mean. Broadcasting is heading that way in general.
Yeah, but then you've got to start early, because if every time you had a boxing match, by the time you got to the main event, everywhere was half empty, like you'd have to have a look at it, wouldn't you, and say, we're going to have to reshuffle this a bit, and we might have to put some of our analysis on after. We might have to do analysis towards the end, because then if the crowd have all fucked off, it doesn't matter because we're in the studio doing it. And it, like, you've got to pull that around within the presentation. I think there is a way to do it.
You are right there with American sports. The worst part is when they go kickoff is at 8 o'clock, but actually it doesn't kick off till like 21 or something, because they need to get the Toyota Drive to Kickoff sponsorship in and all that. You're just like, oh, please.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think you could do that. But overall, I think the expansion to 128 gave us stories that we wouldn't have had, and it's given.
I'm all for it.
Given areas to grow. You look, when they went from 24 to 32, everyone was like, "Oh!" They went from 32 to 48, from then to 64, then to 96.
Do you remember the outrage when they went to 96? Remember going, "What?
Yeah,
are they doing?"
What I'm saying is, back then, the round one games, some of them sucked, but the way the sport grew, and it will be the same here. Lucky enough, we've started on a high point because the guys from around the world have stepped up and given us stories. Andreas Harrison, someone we're not even talking about, what a run he had.
Charlie Manby as well. We all predicted that he'd go deep.
Yeah. So we look at these bits, which is great. So I think for me the expansion to 128 100% worked. Something that I can fully get behind.
It's an interesting one, I think, because there are going to be people that go, shouldn't have gone to 128 and blah, 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 blah. But look, yeah, if the only gripe is that the crowd was empty, you can fix that. And the only caveat I put to that is that it could be quite difficult when do you move to the West Hall, because look, we didn't even talk about this really. The fact they've moved it to the Great Hall is absolutely fantastic news. I've said this.
We were going to come on to that. It's on the list, don't worry.
Oh, go on then. If you want to go.
We'll come to it in a minute. Whilst we're talking about good things, what was your game of the tournament? Doesn't have to be the best game. What was your game of the tournament?
It's tough. I'm trying not to say Hian against Gary.
That was the best game of the tournament, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. I want to try and be different, though.
All right, what was your game of the tournament? Doesn't have to be best. You're just your game of the tournament.
I think Wade against Evans, just for the sheer drama
filled.
I thought that was a quality game of darts. Both played it out. Look, Wade didn't take the piss. No one really took the piss in that game. Quality game of darts, just exactly how it should be played. Brilliant, great game, and happily one I could watch again any day of the week.
Mensa Cullen.
Stephen Joseph.
But Mensa played like Ricky Evans in his next game.
But this is the thing, right? Do I have to say it now? You've opened a can of worms, Barzy. I can't do it.
Me? No.
I just don't get it. Why he was being a little bitch about things. Like, I get it. Like, but he was a slow player. But if you're, I dare say it, like you're one of the best 32 players in the world who just seeded. Like, you should be able to adapt.
No, we've seen Gary do it. Gary lost his shit with Mensa.
If that starts, I'm Oski. I thought Gurney against Greece was a quality game as well, actually.
That one really from Gurney was sensational, by the way.
That was a tie turner.
Really good game, that. I think I enjoyed all of Mensa's endeavours this year.
Rain van Barneveld against Stefan Belmont. What a game that was.
Fuck me.
I've forgotten about that.
I did. I went to therapy and I tried to. I had it removed, and now thanks to you, it's back there again.
Trust me, if that's the last thing that we get to see of Rain van Barneveld, I'm all for it.
I did an awful lot.
Don't you dare find the clip. If you find the clip, I'm off.
What we haven't got, and so it's because we're in the wrong bloody the folks like peek behind the curtain. There is obviously there's a few different setups that we have for different shows. Wasn't the one I was going for.
As bad. That one isn't as bad.
Wasn't the one I was going for. Yeah, I know the one. I know the one you're on about.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, Jolliffe. Thanks for being in the Barney Army.
Oh, special friends.
Oh.
You know what? I was looking to move us on there, because what I was actually one of the other stories of the tournament that we haven't managed to address yet is how in the blue hell, after weeks and weeks and weeks of us talking about it in the build-up, saying that he absolutely had no chance whatsoever possible of keeping hold of his tour card. And I was looking for the Rob Owen tour card alarm, the Rob Owen tour card time that I knew was floating in the back end somewhere in one of these little sections.
It was a staple of the Fallout bar.
It became a staple of the Fallout bar to check in on Rob Owen, because it's genuinely miraculous. For weeks and weeks we said there is absolutely no way on earth that man will hold on to his good tour card. And the universe colluded. Some of the results in that first round, they didn't make any sense. And the only way they make sense is if the universe has cooked up a way for Rob Owen to keep his tour card. So I expect big things.
Yeah, I agree. But let's the world's moving forward. We had some great news breaking before. One, Paddy Power extended for another 5 years.
Excellent.
And the 5-year extension with Alexandra Palace going into the Great Hall. Now, having been there this year, looking at the Great Hall, trying to think how are they going to set this up, my one concern is how they're going to keep it warm, because it is bloody freezing in there. Now,
especially with... Sorry, go on, mate.
It almost feels like they're going to have to make an inner shell within it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, those big doors, innit? That's the problem.
Correct.
Those big doors that everybody lets in. Because if you've ever been to Ali Pali, certainly in its current setup, you enter through the Great Hall into the fan zone, and then you go into the smaller West Hall on the left-hand side. That's how it works. Now, you obviously everybody comes in. How the fuck are they going to get everybody in? Because they're going to have to change the VIP entrances. That's going to have to change as well. Not necessarily where the players are. Look, the PDC know what they're going to do.
They'll get it right. Look, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see, because it is freezing in that Great Hall during the.
To be fair, Red Drum makes a really good. Ari Drum makes a good point. 5,000 people in there are warming up. Absolutely.
It will. There is also there's a lot that you can put in. I look after big buildings for a living, don't I? This one's right in my wheelhouse.
This is your sport. This is your area of expertise.
This is one of my bits. But no, the short answer is quite easily, to be completely honest. If you are an organisation of that scale for a venue of that size over that period of time, what would be quite challenging is putting stuff in place for a day. If you were to run something there for a day or a weekend or something like that, when you're setting something up and you've got as much space and time and as you have to blow things through and keep everything moving, if you can make the cattle shed hospitable, then you'll piss it in there, can't you? That's the way to look at it. If you think if you can put people in the cattle shed and keep them comfortable for the time that they're in there, then in a venue like that, you've pissed it. There won't be any problems.
To be fair, look, Minehead in November is absolutely freezing. I know the players get cold, but I don't think the crowd normally do. You don't normally see coats on in the crowd.
No, I mean, if you think
in the main arena.
It was when I was in there, in November, Phil was there. It was bloody cold, very, very cold. But in the arena, in the venue, you were sat in your chair in a darts t-shirt. It was people were sat in t-shirts, and I think volume of people, and the fact that there will be some. There'll be some air circulation around in there. There has to be, really, with that amount of people in there. And as long as what's circulating the air has got a bit of something going through it and a bit of a coil to heat it up.
To be fair, if they can make the Winter Gardens not feel like a furnace, because I went to the Winter Gardens for the first time in years this year, and I was saying wear shorts, and I was looking at people who were coming in jeans, going, "You thick bastards," but then going, "Actually, it's not that bad."
Oh man, I was in a shirt all week. It was that hot. It was
you
that
are the most.
conditioning.
Yeah, but fair play to you. Like, you always wear a shirt to anything. You're shirt and tie boy.
And everything. So yeah, it's very rare. It's only, to be honest, it's only because I've been doing some jobs and I've got a t-shirt on tonight, which is not it's not like me. But I had a jumper on. I took it off just before I jumped on the stream.
The fans' village will be going into the West Hall or the West Wing, whatever it's called.
That's not horrendous. Like, there's still enough room in there for a fans.
Yeah.
Village.
I
mean, come on. What are they? I mean, I love the fans' village. Like, but and if you look at the one, so like, if you think of what's in there though, like, what's in there is you've got 3 or 4 of the prime sponsors with a little bit of a stand where you can chuck some darts. Was Gravity Darts on this year? Our friend Werner.
I didn't see it.
Ah, that's a shame, because I quite like that. Darts from a stepladder. Gravity Darts was at the match play in the fan zone, and that was really good. Perhaps it's not on because the board that they use for it is currently in my porch. There is a theory as to maybe why they haven't carried that on.
It was. I didn't see it, but apparently it was there. I just didn't see it. I didn't venture out that far that often.
But again,
PB doesn't go with. PB doesn't visit the peasants. You know that.
Yeah, village hotels have their, chuck some things at a board, but it doesn't take up a huge amount of space, does it? There's not a lot.
It's more the bars, isn't it? That's the problem. It's more of the bars.
But then what you've got to do is you then don't, but you don't need to have, and this is where I've always thought, it's probably not the best idea. You don't need to have all of your bars in one place, do you? Where you've got that West Hall and you've got there's 3 or 4 other smaller rooms that you can put things in and have things arranged when you go further up and further out. Like you don't have to have all your bars in one place. You can spread it out a little bit. And I think you maybe add to the experience of visiting fans if you can zone things a little bit.
Yeah, no, agreed. Another thing, again, we're going to talk about was the amazing effort from Paddy Power on a couple of different things. One was the Darts of Destiny, the Just Giving page, which I've just looked, raised over £128,000, and one lucky winner got the chance to throw for 180,000. He didn't win, but it was still.
But still got 5k. Take that for throwing 89. You never get that on a PDC. Good effort, lad.
And to be fair, you had the full VIP treatment as well. But not just that. The whole Bigger 180 project raised a mind-blowing record £1.25 million to prostate cancer, which is an absolute incredible thing to do. That is a massive amount of money to an unbelievable charity.
I do think they are the best sponsor / partner in sports. I don't think there's anyone that does it better. I think across the board, whether it's like the social responsibility, whether it's the progressing and promotion of the sport that they're working with, whether it's just generally being quite funny and entertaining and producing good content and allowing people to access it. Like I don't think that there is a better. I don't think there's anybody out there doing it as well. That doing as much as well. I think it's hugely, hugely impressive, and they are partial. They contribute. So everyone will point at Luke Littler, and they do, rightly so, about what he has done for darts and the sport of darts and its progression and more eyes on it and more people coming to the party and everything else. But it's not, it takes more than just one kid playing very, very good darts. And I genuinely believe that in the last few years, Paddy Power have had a massive, massive contribution to that growth of the sport. The amount of dartboards that they have given away. The amount of people that have a dartboard now that didn't have one. Granted, some people have got fucking 8 and they're all on eBay, the cheeky bastards. But The amount of people that have access to a dartboard that didn't used to have one, the volume of money that's been raised for charity is completely unheard of. Can you imagine it? Like, can you imagine having this conversation several years ago? Can you imagine having this conversation about Kazoo, or somebody like that? They've raised over £1 million for, it's unheard of and highly impressive.
They're the kings. And I'm not just saying that because we're sponsored by them for this tournament. They're the kings. They just are. They're just unbelievable at everything they touch. Everything they touch turns to brilliant. And obviously, the big thing here is that obviously it's not just what they've achieved with the world, with the Bigger 180 campaign as well, but the fact that they put the signs slightly blurred as well for the semi-finals to help raise money for Ryan Searle. Again, that's an unbelievable touch. It's fantastic. The only thing I'd say about the Worlds that disappointed me, and what is it? And who said that in the chat? I think it was Mark who said that potentially. Who said it? No nine data. That was the biggest shock. And as Jimmy says, no nine darters, which tell the players hate charitable causes. They also hate giving away £60,000 to put to somebody in the crowd.
We missed it a few times as well, didn't we? Gary missed it.
2. Luke Woodhouse.
Well. Littler did all bar. He was trying his damnedest to.
He was getting angry when the first one wasn't going in, wasn't it? And it was like, this is when he pissed the game, but he knew that, like, shit, a 140 opening means I can't get the 9. Like, you can see what he really wanted it. But that's what we want. We want players to want to be that good all the time. Maybe you practice. Maybe you practice a 9.
But what I will say is that as a whole, it's amazing how the PDC have done this amazing job of putting Christmas and putting darts at the forefront of Christmas, because nobody I knew was talking to me about the football that was going on, or the Ashes. Certainly not the Ashes after the start that England had. But, everybody that I knew was talking to me about going, bloody hell, what, this Luke Littler, is he ever going to get stopped? Well, the answer is obviously no. But there were so many people, even in Florida, like, we were going to sports bars, and they had the darts on. Like, you wouldn't have got that a few years ago. Never. It's and mad. That is a testament. And that's a testament to what the team at the PDC do. And I know how fucking hard that Jimmy, Adam, Matt, all of them have worked to put football darts at the forefront of this festive period. And full credit to them. Credit where credit is due. They've done an unbelievable job.
Look, darts is on this massive trajectory that is not going to get stopped anytime soon. It is a juggernaut that is running away at the moment. And I don't see where it stops at the moment, especially with the way we're going in America. I'd say Dave's just said it there. Yeah. There's some stuff on Peacock. They've rerun the final as well. We're seeing it in Asia. The ADA in Australia now doing great things. They're running the tour. The success of the Australian Premier League. And by the way, I don't know this. I'm just making this assumption. I fully expect to see a World Series event in Adelaide next year after selling 3,500 tickets for the Premier League with, I don't mean this horribly, lesser names. Yep. I can see a World Series go. Take the Stars to Adelaide and so on. What the CDC is doing in North America, incredible. The Asian tour expansion, the work Devin Peterson is doing in Africa with the African darts. This is a juggernaut that is not going to stop anytime soon.
And obviously, with the expansion in Europe, you look at Poland. Obviously, they've had a World Series, but now they've got a ranking event. They've got a European tour. The Slovakian darts, they're getting a European tour event. And obviously, the big one, and fully deserved, by the way, Belgium. They're joining the elite. They're joining the Premier League lineup. That doesn't happen very often. There's only been 3 or 4 venues that have been added in the previous few years. Most of them in continental Europe, Rotterdam, Berlin, and now Antwerp.
It's aligned perfectly with the year, which is probably the first time in God knows how long, where no one has mentioned a single Belgian player at all in any conversation surrounding the Premier League. Like, not even one. Yeah, it was.
They were all gone early. It was ridiculous.
Speaking of European growth, though, just a very, very quick acknowledgement of the fact that we've got, for the first time, 20 Italian players at Q School.
That's incredible.
Look at Toretta, what Toretta did. Again.
Like, we've got 20 Italian players at Q School. And Italy is the place. Phil and I have mentioned it loads of times. Like, we really want it to grow in Italy because we just really want to go to an event there. We want to go to an event.
Can you imagine the Italian? You know what the French crowd's like in WWE, and the Italian crowd was like in WWE when they came. Yeah. Can you imagine what the French crowd in particular would be like? Say, for instance, if a World Series event was held in Lyon or Marseille or somewhere like that. Jesus, that would be loud.
Yeah, it's on an incredible trajectory, this sport at the moment, that shows no sign of disappearing. But look, for every plus and positive story at the Worlds, there are negatives. And look, we're one here. We're not going to brush over these negatives. Dom Taylor failing the drugs test is a disaster for the tournament. And look, for whatever reason, that he's going to have his hearing and whatever, and until that's done, we won't comment, but not a good look.
Well, all I'll say is this. One final thing, I appreciate the investigation, so we can't really say much, but if you've got caught 12 months prior, why the fuck are you doing it again? Stay off the weed, as Stephen A. Smith would say.
Look,
don't.
It's one of those. But there are a lot of players that after the Worlds, there are more questions than answers. Barney, Peter Wright.
He should be done. He should be finished. Both of them. Both of them should never pick up a dart again.
Dave Chisnell's in free for all. I think that this year there's a lot of questions with people defending an awful lot of money.
There's people who aren't even defending anything that are just fucking plummeting them, aren't they? Because there's people that just aren't winning darts matches at all. Dimitri van den Berg can't play with darts. He can't win a darts match anymore.
Ian White should be gone. He'll be gone by the end of this season, I reckon. He could be. He's in big trouble. Big trouble. Looking at it as well, like you say, Chisenhall. Look at Dimitri. Rob Cross. Yes, he made a last 16, but I don't think he ever looked particularly great. Personally, for me, I know he was probably let stuff his test, but I don't think he particularly looked that fantastic. What do we see from Michael Smith? I'm not saying that he's going to drop like a stone, but can he get back to that sort of level that we've seen for previous years? You look at the likes of Brendan Dolan. Don't think he performed pretty well. Mickey Mansell, said it for a while. The Mensah, he got a few wins, and obviously the moment with Cullen, but there's that element of things. Like I say, Peter Wright and Raymond Barnabel, for my money, I've done in this sport. They should be gone. They're just taking up a tour card from someone else that could probably be beneficial for it. And I don't think they'll be getting back to anywhere near the levels they should be.
It's interesting.
Also, on a side note, no, I'm not had a chance to say it, but to Callan Ritz, to have the bollocks to step up onto that stage after what obviously with the death of his grandfather, and then play Josh Rock. Did he not hit the 10 darter on double one in that game? I think as well.
Yeah,
if everyone says me credit, takes that balls of steel, and all the very best to you, Callan. I know how hard it is to lose your grandfather around Christmas on a personal level, so all the best. And we have to talk about it, don't we? What punishment is Cameron Menzies going to get?
I don't think he will get a massive punishment.
It's the Worlds, though.
I'll tell you why. I don't think they'll punish a mental health breakdown live on TV as hard as what everyone thinks they're going to do.
I think it's a fucking fine line, though, isn't it, Phil? We can all start throwing haymakers.
I agree. It is a fine line, but I don't think they will go hard, and I don't.
If it was me, I reckon he'll probably get 3 to 4 months. Make it difficult for him to qualify for the match play.
He won't get banned. Not a chance.
I think you've got to at that point.
Not a chance he gets banned.
Is it though? Are you just creating a headache for tomorrow then?
Yeah,
because the next time somebody does it or does anything, lashing out on a stage. The next time they throw something, or either water bottle, push a camera over, push the lights, do whatever. Are you just giving everyone a free pass?
The only thing that might save him from getting a ban is that he's fractured his throwing arm. He's fractured his throwing arm, then he. So theoretically, he's out for 8 weeks anyway because he's injured himself. So the PDC might just go, well, that would have been a ban anyway.
I bet he plays at the Masters.
Difficult. Be difficult for not in the case of the ban. I think for an injury.
I think he'd be fit for the Masters.
I just don't. My concern is, like, I've got 3 kids, and what is amazing. So he's like, what's something very, very special for me at the minute is all 3 of them watch the darts over Christmas. I never thought that. So Gabby, my 16-year-old daughter, she always swore blind she would never watch a game of darts. I genuinely found her like not only watching darts with the rest of the family, but I caught her watching darts when no one else was in the room as well. Like I've got that, like, and then my boys watch darts, and am I supposed to tell my 10-year-old that that's all right and you can do that if you're angry or upset? Because he can't do that at school, and he can't do that when he's angry or upset when something happens to him at school, and he can't do that. Like I think.
If I did that at work, mate, that's all I'll say. If I did that at work and smashed up a table just because I didn't get a copy, because someone changed a piece of copy that I've written, I'd get sacked.
Yeah, I can't do that at work. I'd be out. And that's the difficult thing. And I wouldn't be able to say, I'm sorry about this. I'm actually I'm struggling a little bit. What they'd say is, that says maybe, and I hope you get some help with that, but you can't fucking do that here.
No.
Like, and this is where, and I don't know how I don't know at what point it becomes a free pass, because you create a problem for tomorrow when the next person does it, or when the next person pushes over a camera or pushes over, and then just points to that and goes, these are the rules.
I don't think he gets
We're
banned.
allowed to do this, aren't we?
All I'll say is this, mate. All I'll say is this: Wayne Rooney got banned for 4 games for doing a celebration, for mocking a camp, for a mocking celebration. You can't punch a table on live television and not expect. Look, do I think it might be a suspended ban?
I don't think he gets banned.
Okay, look, I say it could be a suspended ban, but I think he probably should. I think he should get banned, just to set an example as everybody else. Simple as I say it, but because look, I'm the first to talk about mental health problems. I've had them for a number of years, right? And I'm getting some help, and I'm seeking help from that. But just because I've got mental health problems doesn't mean that I can't be accountable for my actions. It's as simple as that.
I get that, which is why I think he'll get fined, but I don't think he'll get banned. I genuinely don't.
Okay.
But
someone said, "Should I test that theory and report back?" Yeah, go do it.
Yeah, you do it. I won't be. I work for the government.
You can if you like, but I won't be there.
My pension's far too good to fuck around and find out. Public sector pension. I'm going to dick around with
that. Having worked in it for...
I tried the other one as well, which it wouldn't surprise me. I think Ricky Evans might be getting a letter.
I think there's about 6 or 7 of them are getting a letter.
Because the white flag came up and he was just chucking them.
All I'll say is this: if Mansell got fined, what was it, 250 quid for not trying his best against Jim Long?
Mansell's fine was correct. The wording was very poor.
Yes.
The fine was correct. The wording was poor.
Yes.
So
yes. If he gets fined for not trying his best, that was the official line for the DRA. But all I'll say is that the DRA have had an absolutely worldly of a tournament. There's about at least 12 that I've counted that will be getting fined for swearing, at least on television. The Christmas party for the next 5 years is sorted.
It was funny. I tell you what, tonight has absolutely raced through. What else have we been? Obviously, Q School starts today, but let's be fair, stage 1's bobbins. It's just about getting through.
Everyone says, "Oh, go on, Dan."
I was just going to say it was also a bit sort of standard in that I didn't get to see a lot of it. I was working today, but then you look at who made it through. Who made it through to stage 2 automatically today, and there, let's be honest, there's a lot of names in there that you sort of go, yeah. You Derek Coulson, Tom Sykes, Jamie Hughes, and you sort of you go through and you go, yeah, tick, 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 tick. Next batch tomorrow, please. And we are just marking time a little bit until things start to be a little bit more important, aren't we?
It's the same in Europe. Like, do we really expect Jimmy Van Ski to not make it through on day one into final stage? No.
Exactly.
Do we not expect Arnold Burke? No. Pascal Rebrecht? No. Danny Jansen? No. Benjamin Pratnamart? No. Romeo Govenbach? No. Like, there's a big names that have already come through. Let's just get to Thursday. But join us tomorrow and Wednesday for all the coverage on Online Darts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Joe swearing.
Cracking. Fucking cracking. Oh, shit. Sorry. He scored twice.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Yeah, so can I just, there were a few interviews over the course of that World Championships that went on altogether too long, where people should have just gone, thank you. And just
well, look, you could definitely tell. Look, I'm not one to criticise people who were in the trucks because they got a hard job, but you could definitely tell the producer was in Polly's ear when talking to Luke last on Saturday night. We've got to get this at 10 o'clock somehow, Polly. Keep asking him questions. Just keep asking how wonderful this feels.
Just one more thing. Just one more thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's. I agree, but look, the TV companies are there to make content, 100%. And the players have a responsibility not to be in that state.
Yeah, correct.
Quite simple.
Not to have had a practice.
The players have a responsibility not to be dicks.
But no. Well, we all know the line. We all know the line in the world. Don't be a dick, but it's also don't over practice.
Yeah,
quite simple.
Don't arrive at the venue too early and over practice.
Correct.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
Be able to drive to the venue yourself. That's what you need to do. Yes. There's the test. Be able to drive to the venue.
Drive away from the venue. That's the test.
I wouldn't let this lot drive away from the fucking venue.
all I'll say is
some of them can't hit the fucking door.
Just going back to Q school for a minute. Just one thing. European Q school. There's too much shit in there. And I get that's exactly why first stage was brought in. It was for a COVID thing, but it kept on because it meant that shit wasn't sticking around. But there was so much dross today. It's just it isn't like everyone thinks EEQ school is easy enough to go to. Just because something seems easier to go to, the 35 average ain't going to cut it, bruv. Don't go.
There are some people, aren't they, just going for the experience,
which is fine, but not when we've got a broadcast to do. We don't want to be sat here at R4 with the UK wrapped up and we're still in the fucking last 128 in Europe. Grow up.
I tell you what, today has been absolutely mustard. We got a couple of minutes, so fire some questions in. What would you like to see from the team this year? I know we said it last year, and England fucked us over last year, but we are going to do a live show in the Northeast.
We're coming up here. We are coming up there. I'm staying up here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm fucking staying at home for once.
But England royally screwed us over last year.
Yeah, they managed to make it. It was either the same day as the semi-final or quarter-final, wasn't it? And we couldn't.
Yeah.
What was it? The women's tournament, was it? The women's Euros?
No, the England men's clashed with
2024.
Yeah.
The ADC Global Championship as well. We haven't touched on that. Congratulations! I thought Lewis did an all right job. To be fair, and I thought he did an all right job of the Worlds as well. I know people
I've said this from day one, and we've got a really good interview with Lou Dog on the channel at the World Grand Prix. Was he awful? Yes. Has he got significantly better every tournament? Yes, he has.
Yep, totally agree.
But yeah, Jack Tweddle won the ADC Global yesterday. I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch any of it because
you must have been knackered.
Yeah, because I was driving home and then had prep to do. So I didn't. But congratulations to Jack. As I didn't see any of it, but
Beth Tweddle's brother winning. Well done him. Congratulations.
Free Blackpool live show in Blackpool.
Oh. What, on the Friday night beforehand? that could be tasty. Where's what do you reckon that the hotel? Do you reckon the nightclub would do that? Trilogy would do that for us?
The hotel I stayed does have a lot of meeting rooms in it that are like little conference rooms that are always empty next to a bar. The difficulty I've got is I'm already away. If I do the full match play, that's 9 days away from Anna and the kids in the summer holidays. If I have to add night number 10 onto it, it's very difficult. It could be that I end up moving into that hotel and like Alan Partridge. It might be that she never lets me back. That could be.
What happens if you just pop to the shop for some milk?
Well, what I did this year, if you remember, Philip, is I brought them with me for a few days in the week. I went to the hotel reception, upgraded my room to a family room for a few days, and they all came over to visit. It worked very well.
Hazzy says, can we get a UK Open live show from Minehead? Listen, Philip would probably be the only sober one there. There's
a massive issue in Butlins Minehead for doing a live show. It's
Wi-Fi.
fucking AOL dial-up.
You can't learn about it after the Worlds, mate.
We literally need to bring Elon Musk's Starlink, I think, is the only way that we could make that happen. And yet the problem is
where Butlins
is any of us being coherent. That was a very strange experience when I went to Minehead in November, because I went to Minehead and I went to Minehead sober. And
you saw it. You saw what I had to put up with at Minehead as well. I'm not exaggerating, am I?
You know what? I didn't feel guilty in the slightest, Philip. And when I come down in March, I intend to not be sober at all. Because I have a theory that you arguably can't really be sober in Minehead. It's very difficult. It's a hard place to deal with. The people are difficult. It's all difficult. It's a bit overwhelming if you're sober. You need a drink to make it easier.
I did it in March, sober, and it was very difficult. But the only good thing there was that I was staying off site. Didn't have to deal with all the twats on there. So yeah.
Need a live lounge in Manchester. All right, Chili, if you can find us a venue, we can add it to the list.
Yeah, live lounge on tour. We can tour with a live lounge.
Yeah, we can take it on tour. Can we have Dita Hedman as a guest on? If Dita wants to come on, she's always welcome. Not
open invite. Anytime at all. Open invite.
We have spoken to a few people about lining up potential guests. There are some potentially good ones in the pipeline. People that want to come on.
I want to come on.
I'm not giving anything away, right? But me and Phil had a sort of post World Championships half an hour or so, maybe longer, on the phone yesterday or today. Yesterday, I think. And Phil mentioned a few names of people that have verbally committed to coming on the show, and I was blown away. And bear in mind that previous guests on this show include names such as Luke Littler and Fallon Sherrock, and some of the biggest needle movers in the sport of darts. But I was blown away. I was very.
There
are a couple of really good ones.
Your kids would go mental if one of the guests that we've had verbal confirmation from will ever come on.
Oh, 100%. If it comes off, I'm sure it will. It's just a matter of sorting the date out. It will be incredible.
I mean, I want to come on more. I might be coming on once a month. Might do sort of Monday Night Football. Come on and do the Gary Neville to Jamie Carragher's role.
Yeah, it's quite a nice show when you can line it up post major, or post TV event when we've had a final on a Sunday or something like that, and you've got a bit of something to talk about.
Yeah,
we never had that.
100%. But yeah, look, we're going to get this week out of the way, and then we've got some content with Jar we're going to film, which will be good. Just need to get the office finished as well. It's almost there. So we've got plenty of content plans in the work, what we're going to do, and so on. Some really interesting stuff for you guys as well, which will be really good, as well as all the normal stuff that we do as well. As I mentioned on the stream today, we are going to have 2 watch-alongs for the World Series event. I am going to do Bahrain. Dan is going to do Saudi Arabia, which will be cool. So plenty of watch-alongs. We'll also do the qualifier for the World Masters, which will be cool. And then I'm going up to Newcastle from there for open night of the Premier League. So Dan and I will probably get breakfast at some point.
Oh, yeah, we might get breakfast, mightn't we?
Yeah.
I'm doing Nottingham and Birmingham. What an experience that's going to be.
Yes, I don't have to go.
Yes.
But you guys have all been incredible. Thank you so much for supporting us on the journey. All the new subscribers we've picked up across the World Championships. And of course, all the regulars that have been here since day one have followed us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, here on YouTube, you name it. You guys have absolutely smashed it to pieces. We will be back live tomorrow for Q School. So make sure you are tuned in for there. But as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go. I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson, and the returning Jarlath Eaton. Thank you very, very much. We have been Online Darts, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championships.